See what I'm saying? That's a long time to supposedly not just be,
that's a long time, but that's why we're here now.
Your point is, how do I believe that when you already
told me when she admitted up to all this, she told me, yes, it's been going on the whole time.
But I also, when I came clean.
We did not use a condom.
The bottom line is, within the window of conception, you slept with more than one man, and the sex was unprotected. I'm sick of hearing y'all argue back and forth about nothing. The baby is his. You have been vindicated. Again, Ms. Tillis, this is his child. What are you gonna do now?
Mr. Harrison was at the podium suing the defendant. Yep, and on top of that, he wanted his name to be removed from the birth certificate after the results. Why? Because he was sure as heck he wasn't the defendant's baby daddy.
Mr. Harrison, you are suing the defendant, Ms. Grant, for paternity fraud. You've also petitioned the court to remove your name from the acknowledgement of paternity document for 4-year-old Aaliyah Harrison because you claim you signed it under false pretenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Grant, you claim you may have lied about your ongoing affair, but you did not lie about Mr. Harrison being your daughter's biological father.
This baby daddy accused Mama of paternity fraud, and he had his reasons. I bet he does. Now, according to him, he started suspecting the paternity through the rumor mill going around on Facebook. Yep, and apparently, the rumors were started by Ms. Grant's friends. Yeesh.
I've done everything for her since the day she's been born. I've had several people come to me through Facebook and through text messaging on my phone saying that, you know, Aaliyah is not your daughter. I don't care what, you know, Miss Grant is saying, she is not your daughter.
Are they explaining what they based this assertion on?
Well, apparently it's through several of her friends, you know, that
They're
maybe
not any
she's
kind of friends of mine, Your Honor.
Those are some friends of the defendant. I mean, come on. Just to get payback from the baby mama, these guys went so low, and I believe they thought they were being good Samaritans telling baby daddy to go do some digging.
To say that the person that gave me these accusations had no reason other than the fact that they had, you know, had an argument and she felt like she had to get a little bit of revenge on her, you know, and started telling me things such as, but also said, you know, this child does not look anything like you. You need to start doing a little bit of investigation.
Well, she's biracial, Your Honor. What is she supposed to look like? She looks like herself.
Let's leave the digging to the judge, shall we? The plot was about to thicken. It turned out Ms. Grant was indeed cheating. Not cool. I mean, duh! But if we were to believe the word of Mr. Harrison, the cheating wasn't just one instance. Oh yeah.
Your Honor,
when he went snooping through
I have to say, she had this affair with this person for 15 years. I've only been with her for 8. So this goes way before we were ever even together in the first place. So after 8 years with her and a previous child before the one in question, we have already had a child together. So she's been cheating on me literally the entire 8-year span that we were together, including the time.
Now, who was this secretive friend of the baby's mama? Well, this friend was a good friend of Ms. Grant. Believe me, he seemed to be quite a generous dude who helped in all kinds of ways and then just poof, gone on his merry way. Hard to believe that?
I had met this person when I was 18 years old. I was a single parent of a 2-year-old daughter at the time. He helped me with her. He helped me financially. He has bought cars. He has paid rent. He has paid bills, okay? When I met Mr. Harrison and I told my friend, I'm in love and we're gonna have a baby. And he wished me the best. He said, I'm gonna bow out gracefully. I know you'd like to get married. And you know, that wasn't his intention for me.
Oh man, there was a lot to unpack between these guys. It was pretty apparent they didn't trust each other at all. And why wouldn't they? When the last 8 years of their life were at stake, Ms. Grant was holding her ground and even claimed she was given the choice to leave. And yet Mr. Harrison brought them here.
When I came clean, I gave you the option whether or not you wanted to stay, whether or not you wanted to go ahead and call it quits for good, forever.
Yes, you're right.
Or if you wanted to go ahead and, you know, lay it out all out.
Because I'm not a deadbeat and actually want to be around my children if they're mine. How bad at times our relationship is, let's wait until the kids get older so that they can understand a little bit better than dad just leaving at 4 and 7 years old.
Enter the dude who started this whole paternity doubt ruckus. According to the defendant, she had been intimate with this fella when these guys were separated, and the separation was for quite some time. At this point, baby daddy interjected with a story, and soon they both were talking over each other.
When were you last intimate with this other guy?
December.
In December?
Before Mr. Harrison and I decided to try and reconcile. We had been living apart for almost 10 months.
Almost 10 months.
And so this is just months ago, 2 months ago.
Let me say this. I had major ankle surgery in February of 2014.
Leave it to Judge Lake to ask the loaded questions. I mean, she was the boss, right? Upon asking whether Ms. Grant led the plaintiff on to believe he was the baby daddy, she claimed she was 100% positive he was her guy. Why so sure? Apparently because of a blizzard.
I did lie. I admit to lying about being
So how am I to know?
with
How am I
somebody
to
else
know?
here and there.
How am I to
So
know?
do you also admit, Ms. Grant, to basically defrauding him, basically saying this is your child when you knew for certain that it was not his child? Did you do that?
No, ma'am. I knew 100% that she was his child because she was conceived during a blizzard.
What does snow on the ground have to do with a child's paternity?
She was sure. He obviously wasn't. And that's where the cold hard facts come around to resolve all paternity doubts. However, before that, Ms. Grant seemed to go on a journey and poured her heart out to the man standing beside her.
On the line. There's an entire family.
Five people inside the
More
house
than
right
5
now
people.
are affected by what's going on.
More than 5 people.
And you...
I have people right now telling me that I ought to be ashamed of myself for even being here to prove to this man who I am in love with at this very moment, even though he is accusing me of not knowing who the father of my child is, that I ought to be ashamed of myself for wanting to come in front of you and prove to him and the rest of the world that yes, I've done wrong.
Nope. All of that gushy stuff had no effect on the plaintiff, Nada. He was still on the outs with this woman and had serious reservations. Would he reconcile with her if her claim turns out right? Most importantly, this friend of the defendant's needed to stop butting in their business.
After all the lies, I just don't think I could bring myself to reconcile again with her. Her friend that had hit me up on
She's not
Facebook and
any type
texted,
of friend of mine. She would
apparently
blackmail
told her
me to get her
friend
way.
that I was not her dad. So that's
Like she knows she wasn't there with us.
Apparently you told her.
No, I didn't.
I don't know.
Okay.
Her friend told you that Miss Grant said that you're not the father.
Yes.
Well, the paternity fraud wasn't granted due to lack of evidence. No shock there. However, the paternity doubt was still very much there. Aaliyah was 4 years old, whose life was on the line, and she deserved a family. Let's take a look at what her fate had in store for her.
Mr. Harrison, you are her father.
I told you.
I'm happy.
How do you feel, Miss Grant?
I feel vindicated, Your Honor. Absolutely. I may have lied about my affair, but I know who the father of my child is.
I
hope we can.
I forgave her for everything.
Ms. Murray had another surprise waiting for her when she came back home from her deployment. Oh yeah, here she was glad to be home and to start a new chapter in their married life. And boom, the defendant accused her of infidelity, and now they are here.
Today you say you stand before me outraged because your husband has accused you of infidelity while serving in Iraq. Furthermore, you claim he now doubts paternity of your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Murray, you argue that your wife did indeed cheat on you while serving overseas. You contend that there's no way you could be the father.
Shedding light on the life of a military woman overseas who was also married. BTW, baby mommy had some things to share. Now that life is lonely and full of terrors, but some other distractions were there as well.
There's gonna be temptations, and there's gonna be guys that look good, and there's gonna be guys all around. And you're gonna see guys, but that doesn't mean that you have to cheat and you have to go outside of your marriage.
So you admit that there is temptation.
There's temptation all around, but I didn't cheat and I didn't go outside of my marriage, and I know that in the military there's a rule that we can't do that.
All these issues started when Miss Brown got deployed. There she was fighting for her life, and here the husband dearest was wondering what kinds of fun she must be engaging in. Man, this dude had some serious insecurities.
Going overseas, don't know if I'm gonna ever see her again, and if I do see her again in one piece, is she still gonna have love for me? It's a lot of men's on base, younger men's. Keep in mind, I'm 22 years older than my wife. So that has a lot to do with my being guilty or bad conscience.
Because you feel like she may have wanted to be with someone younger.
Apparently, the defendant wasn't always this doubtful of his wife. Hard to believe, right? This doubting fiasco began when a visitor from the apartment complex let him in on the secret of what actually takes place on the base.
Military people either still active or not. And this young boy told me, he said, which really, this is when I really got worried. He said, in the military's world, when they overseas, they have a group of people, and that group got to stay with each other. If they're there for 2 years, this is the only group of people you're gonna see for 2 years.
This doubt had been bothering the husband a lot, clearly, as he did some research to understand the dynamics of the military. Along with that, he also came along with a witness who wanted to remain anonymous, mysterious, and wild.
Mr. Murray wanted you to testify today as to the dynamics, the goings-on in the military, because of course, as you know, he has definite concerns as to whether or not his wife was faithful and whether or not her child is his biological child. Can you explain?
Absolutely.
Things have gotten interesting. Yep, Mr. Murray strongly suspected that Ms. Brown's special friend from the military had something going on with her. On top of that, Mommy was in constant contact with him as well, which certainly didn't help her cause.
Is that who your husband thinks the father of your child really is?
Yes, that's who he thinks that I had sex with.
Wait a minute, let me back that up. When I picked her up in November, we was riding around in the car. I'm asking her, I thought it was kind of odd. Why is he calling you? Oh, just to make sure I'm doing okay.
And this did not stop there. Not at all. It went on. And so did the infidelity doubt. It got more and more deeply rooted in his mind with each instance. It seemed Ms. Brown was just inviting doubt at this point with no regard.
When we got our next apartment, she's sitting on the couch. She had bought me some Jordans, and I'm wearing my Jordans. She's talking to him. I heard her tell him, he's not stupid. He's not stupid. And, you know, well, she ain't talking to her mother like that. She ain't talking to her sister like, who are you talking to? And she said his name. And I said, she said, the man called you. I said, well, who's he calling stupid?
Up till now, the defendant had just been doubting the faithfulness of his wife. His wife made it back home alive. Thank goodness for that. And bam, immediately got pregnant. Now the age of the dear old husband, pun intended, didn't back up this scenario much. Furthermore, baby daddy couldn't help commenting on the little girl. Not cool, man.
She doesn't too much look like me. My mother says she's bad like me when I was that age. But I don't, you know, for me having kids, and my kids look split image of me and she doesn't.
That equates to doubt.
Well, I had doubt. I had man's discharge is unusual, and the doctor told me years ago that it had something to do with my sperm cells were weak.
The only way to resolve this paternity doubt was through the DNA results. This all took a toll on their marriage. Mr. Murray was good with the little girl, but the doubt still plagued his mind. Let's put it to rest once and for all, shall we?
Mr. Murray, that you are her father.
Thank you.
I can't, my knees.
Within a 3-day period, this plaintiff had been quite busy, the kind of busyness that now led her to seek help from the paternity court. The defendant seriously doubted the paternity of little baby Marley. Here we go.
Ms. Cook, you confess you had sexual relations with your husband, Mr. Edmond, and then cheated with another man.
Yes, Your Honor.
All within a 3-day period.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you say you're unsure which of the two fathered your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Cook had been married to Mr. Edmund for 5 months. Things were good for them in that period of time. However, not all was smooth sailing. As it turned out, they had some turbulence at the time of conception and ended up making some stupid decisions.
But Facebook has a whole nother story to tell.
All right, so what happened?
Some stuff pops up, makes me feel very uncomfortable, and makes my trust for him go down quite a lot.
What pops up?
A message from another girl. This girl has popped up multiple times.
Okay, so you suspected him of cheating.
Oh dear, sleeping with his best friend. Now that was one way to take revenge. And this supposedly best friend doesn't sound like he had the defendant's best interests at heart. They ended up hooking up, and guess where it happened?
It wasn't even like sex, like in a room or in a hotel. It was outside, at a church.
What?
And somebody else was there that I know, and that's how I found out.
And
he watched it, Your
yeah,
Honor.
well, it's
Your Honor.
weird because the other person was actually pretending to be asleep and secretly looking over his shoulder.
In a nutshell, she cheated, he cheated, and then she cheated again. Wow. Hard to keep track of this toxic situation, right? Like this wasn't messy enough. They did all of this without any protective measures. Yep, and the rest was history.
I was with my husband at the time. We were boyfriend and girlfriend. We were together basically every day. We did not use protection. And the second guy, which is embarrassing to admit, but we did not use a condom.
The bottom line is, within the window of conception, you slept with more than one man.
So Ms. Cook was now pregnant, and she chose a doctor's appointment to drop the bomb on the boyfriend's head that there could be more than one possible baby daddies out there. She dialed the other guy's number, and this was their conversation.
Now, and just for the record, I love Jay, and we are going to be together, and he will love this baby regardless, which he also vouched for. He took the phone, he talked to the other man, and he said, even if you're the biological dad, I'm still the one making sandwiches, I'm still the one doing her hair, and you can come on the weekends.
Enter the defendant's sister, his witness. Now she came charged and ready to take down the baby mama. Oh yeah, they weren't a fan of each other, but they were cool with each other initially. And then the sister saw her walking down the street, not alone.
I would drive up and down the street, see her from her little organization or whatever. I would pick her up, we'll talk, you know. And then one day I was riding down the same street, and I seen her walking up and down the street with one of Jared's friends, with the arm around the neck and all of that.
Okay,
all
Your
of that.
Honor. First of all, I would like to say something did happen with that friend, yes.
Ms. Edmond wasn't done talking yet. Nope, she had a lot to share about the shenanigans of the plaintiff. Moreover, she was absolutely positive the baby wasn't his brother's. Why? Because of the baby's appearance.
How can you be a woman and say, you know, oh, I admit to sleeping with your best friend, but this baby is 1,000% yours? Like, what you mean? We live in a city where it's 90% Hispanic. You cannot look at that baby and tell me that you're 1,000% sure that that baby is African American.
I could.
Get out of here.
I would. I can.
All right, so hold on.
Drama, and even more drama. These guys have forgotten that they were standing in a paternity court and not in a divorce court. Baby Marley's life was on the line, and all they could do was to get involved in nonsense bickering.
It was like supposed to be
I
my.
can't get pregnant though.
But you didn't use a condom, so
I can't
how
get
many other
pregnant,
girls have you
though.
gotten pregnant?
You
Like
feel
4?
me? Who
Okay.
cares?
I can't get
I
pregnant
care.
though.
We're married. I care. I care that
Why
my
would you
husband
marry
is
a
going.
But are
marry
we
a man
not
that already got
here
kids?
dealing with the paternity regarding Marley?
Yes.
Let's talk about that. See, the thing is, I know you all like to run your mouth and get off the subject, but you're not gonna get me off the subject.
Apparently, there were other issues in this relationship as well, and these issues extended to the baby daddy's family as well. According to the defendant's sister, it was a black and white issue. Heard that right? Well, color me curious, and let's hear it.
She chooses to throw that up in my family's face and also my brother's face, you know.
In what
She'll
way?
tell him that, oh, I'll start screaming and they'll call the police on you and you better not touch my car door. It's been many a times when my brother has called my family members, asking them for a ride because Megan done left him stranded somewhere. All of that.
I'm leaving, and when you tried to pull me out of the car and you tried to threaten to break my car, take out the battery,
told me-
break the windows.
Oh Lord, they shouldn't have gone that far. Or better yet, baby mama shouldn't have gone that low. That was just insane. Saying that to the man you claim to love and had the nerve to justify that you weren't racist. Shocking.
Be in a relationship, a marriage with a black man because you claim to love him.
Yeah.
Possibly have birthed a biracial child with a black father, and then in an argument dare to bring up his skin color and race.
No, what I did say is
Yeah,
you
clarify.
See, I did say, okay, I was like, so if the cops come here and they see you and they see these marks on my arms.
Ms. Cook also brought a witness along, her grandma. Apparently, baby mama recently came into some money through a settlement, and she suspected Mr. Edmond was after that. But that clearly had nothing to do with the matter of paternity on hand. Granny was sure the defendant was the baby daddy.
It doesn't really have anything to do with paternity, but I mean, if they stay together, it would make a difference in their life. If he's just there with them just for the money, I just don't know.
Do you have any type of assumption as to who you think beautiful Marley's father is?
I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that it's Jay's baby.
And why don't you have any doubt?
Because just
What that
the
mean?
way they
There
are.
you go with this cheering.
This drama has gone on for way too long now. Baby mama was in her own head and not appearing so mature. Baby daddy was doubtful, no idea which way this whole fiasco was gonna go. But the results were in.
Mr. Edmond, you are her father.
Happy about that, and like, I love my wife, I love the baby.
Good.
I love my sister, I just don't want people fighting, you know? I hope it brings people that much cordial or to get that much closer to be in the same room at least.
The second time's a charm. The plaintiff was back in court to prove to Mr. Jalek he was her baby daddy. However, the defendant had a lot of doubts regarding the paternity of baby Joni and wanted to put an end to this here and now.
Ms. Tillis, you are back in my courtroom today for a second time.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you say Mr. Jalik is denying your 6-month-old daughter, Jayani, because he is confused and delusional. But you have no doubt, you say, that he is the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, these guys had issues, obviously, but they were still living together. Cohabitation and co-parenting. The husband whipped out the conception calendar, and it was highly detailed, I may say. These very details led him to doubt the loyalty of his wife and the paternity of Gioni.
She was not born a preemie. She was full healthy on April the 1st. So when I did my calculation, I'm like, wait a minute.
If I was out of town during the end of June coming into July, and she was born healthy on April the 1st, the time frame don't add up. That means you was already pregnant.
Back.
Yes, ma'am. That would have put her window of conception up here around the time I wasn't even in the city.
Next up, the defendant presents another shocking testimony. Apparently, Mr. Jalek got hold of the mommy's phone through their eldest kid. Interesting. The guy went straight to her gallery, and ding, 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 there was a surprise just waiting for him there.
He had her phone that's open. I directly went to her gallery. In Miss Tillis's photos, you have a picture of a month-old fresh newborn, which is right here, and one of her ex-boyfriends cropped together in her phone. The baby ain't even 60 days old yet. Why is you cropping a picture of my daughter with your ex?
That's a great question.
And I told him, I was on the phone with my sister, you know, like I could say, oh, you look like...
None of that makes sense.
Baby daddy had expressed his doubts pretty clearly and more than on one occasion, and yet baby mommy kept on having fun with the guy. Moving on, baby daddy revealed another rather interesting piece of information that further led him to doubt the paternity.
Why do that with her? Why say little stuff? If you feel like she's
because
not yours,
I'm still
why
grown,
do all this
because I'm
extra
still
stuff?
a grown man.
Right.
This is we know for a fact she's Jadis' sister. What we trying to figure out if I'm Jayani's father. So whatever I do with Jadis, I'm gonna do for Jayani. So she don't feel nothing but unconditional love for me. I'm a boy maker, period, point blank.
Mr. Jalek was pretty adamant he only had the ability to make boys. And when baby Gioni came into their lives, it appeared downright impossible for him to have fathered her. Now, why was he so certain about that? That is the question.
So you have 4 boys.
Yes, ma'am.
And you believe you only make boys.
That's all I got.
So do you have any other evidence to support the fact that you just make boys?
I was told a long time ago by a family member
Right.
that that's all I was gonna ever make because that's all I was producing. And I believe it wholeheartedly. So the fact that here coming out of nowhere, a curveball, which is a beautiful blessing right here.
Now with the help of a doctor, Judge Lake established that a guy being just a boy maker is just a myth and nothing else. But that didn't let down Mr. Jalek. Nope, he went on to say that was indeed possible. And apparently it was a Southern thing. What was happening in the South, man?
Pickle juice is a natural remedy as well.
A natural remedy for what?
Just keeping yourself tight and right.
But what does that have to do with producing boys?
See, I can't go, it's a Southern thing that we was taught way back.
I got time. What is it? If you combine pickle juice, prune juice, and lemon juice, you produce more boys?
Yes, ma'am.
Those 3 juices.
I've been running down through there, Yana. I ain't got nothing but boys.
All this craziness aside, there was a real baby whose fate and life were at stake. Time to put this doubt to rest and see whether there will be a third time here for these guys. Oh, I hope the Southern things of Mr. Jalek turns out to be a total bust.
Mr. Jalek, you are the father. You got your first little girl. You must have drank a different smoothie that day.
You're gonna have to switch up your juice.
Yeah, so I'm proud, you know, like I said, I'm human.